What's up, family? Andy here with this week's Puka Minute preview. This week, Marcus, Dezit, and Yanni discuss the first Leaderboard giveaway, plans for Leaderboard repack giveaways. You'll hear their thoughts on Wizards' recent prints and the upcoming Iconic Masters. They have a great discussion on lands, the featured standard sets, and planeswalkers, and information on our new Facebook page. Please stay tuned for the full episode.
What's up, family? Marcus here with the Puka Minute podcast, and to my right and left, digitally, I have the man, the myth, the legend, Dezit7, everyone's favorite kitty cat, and I'm also joined by Yanni from Yanni's Card Kingdom. How are you guys doing today?
Still waking up.
I'm doing just fine today, actually. I've been awake for a while, but hard at work.
It seems like the cat is always tired. It's a thing that we're just gonna have to figure out.
Good luck.
Well, with all that being said, all you viewers out there, make sure you check out our Patreon page, and that will be down below in the description. If you'd like to support the channel, there are plenty of awesome tiers that you can check out to support us and to support yourself getting cards every month. And every week, as far as giveaways, we are now doing, and we have done one episode of the Leaderboard giveaway on pukatrade.com that does go live around noon to 3 p.m. Central Time every Friday. And we picked our first winner of the signed Puka Trade playmat. That was really fun for me to do. And I think it's going to be a huge success. We just have to share the word and to get the other traders out there to know about it, because I haven't had the winner even contact me yet. So hopefully we can get that figured out. But with that being said, stay tuned. Next Friday, we will be giving away something I'm really looking forward to on the leaderboard. So start trading now. If you're one of the top 25, the most points set in the last week, or in the top 5 of the leaderboard for the most cards sent through the week, you'll be entered to win this giveaway. And Yanni, I want to talk to you about what we can give away. I've been thinking about this, and I want to know if I've got your support. Do you think we can come up with a 100 card repack from the massive collection that we purchased to give away to one of the leaderboards on pukatrade.com?
Absolutely, we definitely can. And I know that I've got several put together right now to where, it's not just the basic repack that you would find anywhere, where, it's a lot of the standard stuff, or it's the sets that just rotated out. A lot of the repacks that I do have put together, they're from the dark up, mostly some of the older stuff with some of the newer stuff. So at least half of the pack, is going to be the older, harder to find sets for collectors, or if you just want some awesome playability that you yourself, if you joined a little bit late, may not have seen, or they're hard to find, especially in the condition that we have them in.
So you heard it here, folks. Start trading now, because you can get yourself a 100 card repack from us here at the Puka Minute in Yanni's Card Kingdom. Good luck to all of you traders out there on Puka Trade that are trying to get on that leaderboard. Yanni, tell us a couple specific cards that you've been putting into some of those 100 card repacks, so they know what, rather than just what set they can expect them from, but maybe a couple card names if you remember off the top of your head.
Well, I know some of the newer card-wise, you've got things like Counter Squall, your Shaper New, the Sun Zenith. We also, I try to make sure I have some of the staples in there as well. So I do have some of the Monastery Swift Spears. And for older-wise, I have plenty of the Urzatron lands, even the higher end. I don't normally put in lands, but some of the higher end snow-covered mountains and stuff that, they're going to go, a lot of those for $2, $3, $4 sometimes. And, I do make sure that every one of those packs has cards like that thrown in as well. So that way you're not getting, a repack full of, 5, 6 cent cards. There are cards of value in there as well, and very high playability for a lot of them.
Marcus, you cut out.
Oh, apologies. I'm just saying that I'm excited to see what the winner says after receiving that prize. I'm excited to get feedback from that 100 card repack, so we can start selling some of them as well to support the channel.
Absolutely.
Well, and again.
Well, that's just technical difficulties for you. With that being said, now we know what we'll be giving away next Friday. So we have that hashed out. So now let's talk a little bit about standard again, and maybe even touch on some modern talk with Yanni. I know that he has some feelings about what Wizards of the Coast is currently doing with their printing, with their reprints, their invocations, masterpieces, expeditions, and even a plan set for later this year in November of iconic masters. So Yanni, if you could just take the stage and go over your thoughts on all this stuff, and then end it off with what you think they're going to be reprinting in iconic masters.
Not a problem with that. And actually, my history with Modern is pretty long. I deal mainly in Modern, and a lot of these cards are kind of what got me into doing what I'm doing. And obviously, the biggest market for Magic the Gathering, it's not just going to be playability here and there. It's also a secondary market. You know, people, when they buy packs, when they buy cards, they look at this as a investment. They want to be able to get a card that if they need a card later, you know, well, this is going to kind of hold its value to trade in. And I know, especially with reprints, it's killed the secondary market on so many levels. It really has. A lot of things did need reprints, but most of the things that they're reprinting just absolutely didn't need it. And I think that kind of what we're doing now is we're seeing all these chase cards, you know, whether it be masterpieces, invocations, inventions, or even, you know, the lands when they did those. They're printing these, and I think they're putting a little bit too much effort into those and scaling back the effort they're putting into the sets themselves, which in turn leaves us with kind of a mediocre set, which is a high-end chase card, which, I mean, I understand Wizards of the Coast wants to make money, but I think it's really killing a lot of interest in the sets, and that could hurt us down the road. I don't really think that they're looking too much into the now or the future as to a wallet, which could end up hurting Magic extensively.
So to go along with that, just to understand what you're saying is by putting those chases in there, more things are being opened, and more things being opened, the prices are going down, which is turning standard into. Are you saying it's cheaper to get into standard, or?
I think right as soon as it drops, you know, it's always going to be about the same. It's going to be a little bit higher, but it is turning cheaper a lot quicker in the standard rotation than it normally would. But not even just that, because a lot of packs are being opened. So the prices of the cards besides the chase cards are dropping. But also, I believe that the level of card that they're printing besides, you know, the chase cards are also dropping as well. So the cards, you know, in a set that would normally have, let's say, 4 or 5 $20 more mythics, you know, as soon as they're coming out, they're starting at 8 because they're just not as strong. I think that the rest of the set that's getting printed is starting out a lot weaker as well, and I think that really hurts.
Yeah, and with all that being said, also, I know last week or throughout this week, I saw the Force of Will invocation go from 230 to 150 or 160. And then right after, or maybe it was right before that, they announced that there's going to be a 10% increase in printing on the invocations.
And keep in mind with the Force of Will, that was, you know, one of the few times that Force of Will has ever been done in foil. So that's probably the smallest drop that we're going to see, I believe, especially out of a lot of the others. I mean, look at Pact of Negation, for example. Pact of Negation's been dropping pretty steadily, and not just the invocation printing, all of them. And, you know, it's one of those that there's several foils out there. You know, there is the original printing. So even the cards where they're just doing the invocation, you know, it's going to drop, but not as much as the ones where they're reprinting, you know, to oblivion. Now, that being said, I'm not saying invocations are a bad idea. They're gorgeous. I love them. You know, and I mean, they're hard to get, but I think that honestly, we should make them 10 times harder to get to where, you know, it's not really a chase. It's just, oh my God, I pulled this. It's amazing, you know, and it's like a 1 in every 5 cases opportunity. You know, that way everybody's not cracking packs like crazy to get a million of these to sell, or hoard until the price goes up. That way, it's just, it's almost as elusive as a Mox is.
Do you feel someone playing a shiny Force of Will is even going to want this version of one?
That's really tough to decide. I think, like we were talking last time, obviously Dizit doesn't necessarily like the design, and I do. I think it's really going to be a personal preference on that. I do believe that in players you have one of several types. You have a player who prefers the original art. They hate shiny. They do not like foils. You have a player who wants to foil everything out. And you have that one player who wants to not just foil things out, they want to get the most expensive version or the most unique version. And I think that these are really only going to appeal to the people in the third category there, the ones that either want the most expensive version or they want that really unique, odd, not a lot of people are going to like this and not a lot of people are going to play this type of feel.
Well, I can speak from experience. When I built my EDH deck, I wanted anything that was a foiled Judge promo. That's what I wanted. So, I've spent some money that I shouldn't have on, a Judge Force of Will. If I still had that entire deck, I have some of it, but if I still had that whole thing, I mean, there wouldn't be a place in it for an invocation really, because, if I'm spending big bucks, I'm not going to spend it in an invocation.
Well, and another thing is you've got to remember, because a lot of people they do just like that. They want foil Judge promos and stuff. My own burn deck personally, is completely foiled out with the best foils out there because I could. But that's probably, 15 to maybe 20% of the market. Okay, it's a very niche market. And that's the issue that Wizards is running into. With a lot of the regular cards that they're printing not being as strong, and I don't mean just in power, I mean in as interesting as they are, the playability of them. There's a lot of players out there that want just the regular cards or can't afford the high end stuff, and it's pretty much like we're leaving them the dregs of the barrel. They're not getting a lot to play with, and the art has become amazing. Don't get me wrong, the art is steadily increasing. But I can have, a card with the best art out there, and if it's not playable, it's not on my deck.
Very, very true. I'm glad that you mentioned that. Art is a big thing, and that's when you're going to start seeing people wanting, Magic player rewards, a cryptic command over an invocation cryptic command.
But it's only as popular as it is scarce.
Yeah, so you mentioned that you'd like to see one invocation per 5 cases. Me personally, that would be crazy.
Oh, go ahead, Dizit.
Oh no, I was just filling with the deck box.
Well, I know, and it may seem like, that's a very, very small amount, but the invocations and masterpieces, they're supposed to be collector items. They're supposed to be unique. They're supposed to be rare. When you think about it, the rarest card out there is the Black Lotus. And I'm not even going to say just for the age, because even at the time that Alpha came out, it was so hard to get a hold of, and it still holds its value and its rarity and its uniqueness and, the amount that it's wanted today. And I think for them to turn the invocations and the masterpieces into what they should be instead of just a money show, that's what they need to do. They need to turn it like the Black Lotus, which was pretty much that hard to find. It may not have been 1 per 5 cases, but when you think about how many cases are being printed now, that puts it in about the same percentage find group.
That does make sense. Now, go ahead and tell us what your thoughts are on Iconic Masters. I know I mentioned what you think. Maybe you can mention what you think is going to be reprinted in that, if you can speculate.
Well, I do have a feeling. I've been doing a little bit of research on it, and I've been pretty good anytime they do reprints, knowing what's going to be put in there. I know, the last Modern Masters, me and you had some of the same ideas, and we were right, almost 100% on exactly what was going to come out. And I have a feeling that we're going to see a lot more of the reserve list being reprinted. And in my mind, that's a horrible idea. It might be great in the short term. It really will. But in the long run, I think that's actually going to do just as much damage. as overprinting, because yet again, the iconic masters like Modern Masters, I feel, will be printed, almost into oblivion. And I think that can really hurt the community more than help. It might draw a lot of new players in, but it's going to lose a lot more than it draws in, I do fear.
So if you're a gambling man, tell me 3 names of 3 cards that you would gamble are going to be reprinted in that set.
Honestly, I probably couldn't tell you. I'm still doing individual card research right now, and I don't want to put my foot in my mouth right now. But if you want to shelve part of the conversation for the next episode, I'll put together a list of the top 10 cards I think that they're going to reprint. And now, don't hold me to it 100%. I said almost 100% for Modern Masters 3. But, I'm normally not wrong with that. There are a few that I have my suspicions on, but I really don't want to I don't want to put them to my name until I'm absolutely sure, at least in my mind on those.
Give the people what they want, Yanni. Give us one name of one card you think will be reprinted. My guess is Arcbound Ravager.
That's definitely one that I do see being reprinted. And honestly, that's one I don't mind being reprinted as long as it's at a mythic level. But I will say this. Maybe not exactly with iconic, but one estimation I do have in the future, especially as I keep doing these invocations and stuff, is I do slowly see things like the Moxes being reprinted, even if it's 1 by 1. And I was talking about how collectible the Moxes and the Lotus are, and I think that's where all of this is leading, and it could be to an early shallow grave.
Yeah, I am not going to put my money down saying Moxes will be reprinted. I don't think they'll do it.
I mean, I certainly hope not, but I mean, it's a gut feeling that I have right now.
Now, I would maybe say the dual lands, the original dual lands.
I would almost say that's a definite. The way that they've been reprinting all of the older lands step by step, that's kind of the biggest step for them. Now, I do believe they'll only do 2 or 3 at a time until they're all done. That way they can get, more bigger sets out of it. But I do believe that that's almost, a 95 to 100% chance they're going to redo the dual lands.
So here's a question. If you guys think that they're going to punch into the reserve list, how do you think they're going to do it besides just reprinting stuff, which will just come as a shock to everyone? But how do you think they will address abolishing or slowly diminishing the reserve list?
Well, for the reserve list isn't specifically banned from being reprinted. It just says that they won't continuously reprint them. If you look at the actual wording to the way that they do that. So it may come as a shock to some people, but I mean, they've been dropping hints for a while that they were going to kind of look into doing some of those, and like I said, it doesn't mean, that they can't do it at all. The reserve list was never meant to say this will never get reprinted. It was meant to say, that we won't print this a ton. Sure.
I'm gonna have to disagree with you with thinking how it kind of hurts Magic in a way. To me, as we saw with the Eternal Masters, it with the reprinting of several Legacy Death and Taxes staples and the inclusion of some new ones in Conspiracy 2, I think it will help players get into those less popular formats because of how like Legacy and Vintage, because of how big that money sink is trying to get those originals. I think the appeal to the original art and stuff will still be there among the players, so there will always, I feel that there will be a market for those, and that it will that the original printings will continue to hold value, not necessarily tank it completely. Sure drop a little, but not completely. But yeah, I just think if they slowly do it and if they do it right, it could be a good thing. Otherwise, who knows?
There's probably a lot of listeners, Yanni, that don't know what the reserve list is. Why don't you go ahead and just give us just a quick overview of that?
All right. First, let me go ahead and address something that Deezik just said really quick. And I want everybody here to remember, obviously I play, I've been doing tournaments for a long time, but I do come from more the store side and the collector side. So I am maybe thinking of the long-term intrinsic value, and I have seen a lot of the cards that I have, even collections. I had my land collection drop by, over 30%, and that's a complete non-basic land collection just due to some of the reprints. So it may seem like a lot more to me than other people, and maybe I'm just coming at it from a collector side. So, I'll probably I'll sit down and I'll look at the other side as well for just the average player, and that way I can give a little bit more sound advice. Obviously, Dizit, you're our finance guy. You do know a little bit more about the standard finance and the casual player finance. I look at it more from a long-term investment stand. Now, on to the reserve list. The reserve list, there were a lot of cards that started out, as high end. These were amazing things, and then things that collectors wanted as a lot as well. So they were kind of cards, that it's a list, it's been added to slowly over the years, a few at a time, where Wizards promised, they weren't going to overprint the cards on that list to try to keep the secondary market there a little bit stable, appease the collector side along with the player side and the main secondary market on that.
Wizards of the Coast has a new CEO, am I right?
I believe they do, yes.
How much does that CEO change affect the reserve list being even a thing?
It would really depend on any mandates that were put in place before he got there. I mean, there may be certain mandates the company has to follow. There may not be. If there's not, then the new CEO, could change the whole thing. He could come in and he could rework the entire system, the entire company, how they do things, what they're doing, their order of business. Now, a thing with that, though, is that even if he were to come in and rework it, honestly, we probably wouldn't see repercussions from the new CEO taking effect for a year or two down the road. It's kind of like the presidency. Anytime we get a new president, a lot of people think immediately things are changing, but it's still the old term for a little bit before the new stuff takes effect. So we'll see that probably here in the near future.
Also, the reserve list was put into place before Hasbro even took over Wizards of the Coast. So who knows if WotC has to go through Hasbro first to do whatever they have to do, or we just don't know.
Exactly.
It's very interesting to see how it's playing out now and how it will play out in the future. But it's definitely something that we here at the Puka Minute will have to keep tabs on to share more about these subjects, because they're really some of the most interesting subjects there is to talk about as far as Wizards of the Coast and Magic the Gathering has.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and a lot of stuff has gotten better and a lot of stuff has changed. I'm not saying, don't take me wrong, I'm not down in Magic the Gathering. I'm stuck with it for life and I plan to be that way. I love it. Not everything's going horrible. I think they're making a lot of great ideas too. And I'll give you an example. The full art lands that come with Omniket. I think that's amazing. It
was truly a great decision.
Yeah, I did. I love the original Zendikar full arts. I've been playing with those since Zendikar. Now, when BFZ came out, I was excited. I did think they got overprinted, beyond recognition for the full arts. It dropped the price that made it to where the everyday man could afford full arts, which was awesome. And at first, I was thinking, oh, man, because I like to be unique and I like having full arts when nobody else did. But now that they're doing like Omniket, to where you can't just go out and get a full pack of full arts with every fat pack. Even there, it's just 20 full arts per fat pack or one per every 4 or 5 packs. I think that's amazing, especially if they do that with every set from now on, to where they're having some regular and some full arts. What that's going to be able to do is allow people to customize with full arts to where everybody can enjoy that beauty in their deck, but everybody can be unique. And it's not going to be so easy to get that they're pennies on the dollar.
Well, I know the EDH community loves it.
And they're gorgeous.
And I also know that the Eternal players, aside from Guru lands or whatever, a lot of them like enjoy the unhinged, unglued, and judge promo lands, full art lands as well.
And there's always going to be a few that like, the small niche lands. It's almost like we were talking about the three categories of players. Some are always going to want the original art. A lot of my decks have full arts, although I do have one or two decks that are straight alpha arts. I have a couple that are straight revised arts. It allows having different kinds of lands like this, even basics, which I am super ecstatic. I'm going to say this again, that they're paying attention to basic lands again, and making them great. Because that's something, that comes in every pack, and it allows so much versatility. But the fact that they're allowing so much diversity there, I think that's amazing, and that's going to be awesome for the players. The players are going to love that, and that's going to be one of the smaller things that helps balance out any negatives that people have in trying to keep people in.
I was kind of hoping they wouldn't do just the one version of every basic, though, as far as the full art bolus lands go. I was kind of hoping that it would be more than just one version.
And this might just be a test run. That's something we have to speculate, whether they're going to keep doing that to where it's just one full art, version for each color in each set, or if they're just seeing if the smaller print run is better off, if people, maybe they're waiting for people's reviews. And if that is the case, then they'll do one of each version, but it'll be few and far between like it is with Amonkhet. And I believe if they do it that way, it's going to turn into a big, big boon for them. And that's going to be an amazing thing.
Another thing. Sorry.
No, Dizit, go ahead.
All right. Another thing I would like to mention is that these sets are planned 2 years in advance, according to Mark Rosewater. So between BFZ and Amonkhet, it was about 2 years. Shadows and Kaladesh came out, so we won't. We won't see an immediate continuation of the test run probably, but it's definitely something to look out for in the long run.
I think it would be neat too if they were to do multiple, I don't know how many, but let's just say multiple versions of each color of those full arts. It'd be cool if one of those versions of each color were rare. Not like in the rare spot, but I just mean like, how tokens, if you have 9 tokens, one of them's harder to get than the rest.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be pretty neat, and I know Yanni would love that.
And I think Dizit's right. It really is. There's a 2-year gap, because they have to plan ahead. Otherwise, they'd never get it out on time. And I think that probably what caused the Amonkhet full art lands were, when BFZ first came out, obviously it was a mad rush, for the expeditions. But at the same time, they got so much positive feedback for bringing the full art basic lands back that I think that's probably what caused them to think, hey, this is going to work out. Let's start planning ahead now how we can start releasing these in the future to keep interest peaked on them. And that's probably what started with the Amonkhet. And I think that's, I keep repeating myself, but that's an awesome idea. And I think they're going to keep doing it. But I do believe that if they were to make one just a little bit harder to find, just like you're talking about with the tokens, that would be awesome, especially because that's going to draw in collectors like crazy, as well as players and as well as investors.
See, this is why we should just be, combination, the CEO of WotC. That's, they should just give us the job.
I think it'll be a little more of an undertaking.
You're hired, buddy. You're hired, CEO.
Sure.
Yanni, I was going to also mention too something else, but it completely just slipped my damn mind because I'm crazy like that. But as far as your alpha and beta collections, how are those looking? Because I'm thinking I might want to get my hands on some.
They're looking, I won't say stripped bare right now. I haven't received a lot of alpha and beta back in recently, but I have started piecing out little bit by little bit, although I do still have quite a few.
I remember what I was going to say now. What a professional filler I am. No, but could you imagine the number of packs opened from Dragon's Maze and the pack number of open boxes or packs of Battle for Zendikar, like the difference in how many boxes were opened?
I think there are multiple factors into that, not besides like full art basic lands, just the set design itself. plays a huge role. Dragon's Maze was not the strongest set.
And that's why I bring up
standalone.
Dragon's Maze, because it's so, well, in my opinion, terrible.
You can find that in most people's opinions.
You know, and I'll say this, we might find it terrible now, but I do believe, and I'm going to stick to this. I know some people, if not a lot of people, are going to think I'm completely wrong in my basis here. But at the time it came out, I thought Dragon's Maze actually wasn't that bad. It was pretty neat with some of the characteristics that they brought in. It's just like if you look at, you know, some things are directly opposite. Right now, the bicycle lands are out with Amonkhet, and they may not seem as strong right now, but I do believe as future sets come out, that cycling is going to play a lot more roles. So it's going to pick up a lot there. So it really depends on the time frame of when it's out, what all is coming out with it. And I know especially when we go back to Dragon's Maze, I think a lot of those cards are going to see a huge uptick back again. Definitely.
Dude, cycling is no joke. I've been playing a bunch of drafts on Moto, and I'll tell you right now, the people that win are the people that cycle and have playability with cycling cards, you know, and giving other creatures pluses when you cycle, or, you know, all the different mechanics of cycling is just absolutely amazing. I have been on the receiving end of it, and then I learned how good it was, and then I started playing more decks involved with cycling, and then I started winning more. It's a good mechanic, and I think that, you know, we might see a lot more of it.
And it's been out for a while. I think the biggest issue with cycling is that we've always had cards that could cycle, you know, I say always, you know, for a while now, but we didn't have good playability combos. We didn't really have a lot of knowledge into it. And now that we're seeing a lot more cards that can do it, you know, we're seeing things that, you know, were previously impossible.
Yeah, so, you know, with that being said, with the whole 2-year planning thing, so they probably know the next 3 sets to release. I mean, obviously not exactly the cards, but they know what they're kind of going for. What do you think we have in store coming for Standard? Any thoughts on anything specific?
I have seen some artwork spoiled, you know, and I say spoiled, you know, it's rumor mill spoiled. So, you know, obviously we're not sure. But from what I've seen, it's been more, and I'm sure you've probably seen pictures here and there, the return to an Atlantean kind of time or era, which will give us more, you know, back into Merfolk, which would be great. Because, I mean, a lot of people play Merfolk anyway. That'll give us new additions that we can add to fine-tune older Merfolk decks, you know, not just for Standard. That'll help Modern. That'll help Legacy players as well. And I think that'll also be great to bring in, hopefully, a new Planeswalker with it, because I know I love some of the old Planeswalkers. I love Liliana. I really do. I love Ajani and I love Gideon, but I'm tired of Gideon. You know, I've seen way too many of them. He's always pretty much the same abilities. You know, he's a Beastmaster. There's only so much you can do with it. I would love to see a couple.
Gideon's a Beastmaster?
Not wow. I'm thinking of Johnny in my head. Sorry, tokens. Even
I'll tell you what. Why don't you just take yourself a little timeout? You put 4/4 counter on yourself. You can be indestructible for a turn. All right.
But I would definitely love to see some of the water-based planeswalkers, you know, come back, and maybe even a new one. I think it's probably time to bring out a new strong planeswalker for those that, you know, even just want to play casual.
All right. Well, since we're on the subject of planeswalkers, let me ask you this really quickly, and this will be the last question I have about Standard cards. What do you think of the planeswalkers from Amonkhet? Which one will have the most longevity?
It's a little bit tough to say. Gideon's just, the emblem's kind of dumb. I mean, and I say that just because in both that it's both really really good, but really really over a bit stretching it. And for those who don't know, Gideon of the Trials, his second 0 ability is you get an emblem with, as long as you control a Gideon Planeswalker, you can't lose the game, and your opponents can't win the game. And
which then brings us full circle into the Everything Gideon deck, which is crazy.
Yeah, and with Gideon's just being chock full of abilities with, oh, I can't take damage this turn, or what have you. It's just a little bit weird. I think it's a good risk in design, but I don't think it'll pay off for them. Nissa I find to be the most intriguing. One being an X drop, obviously, but also with her zero ability. Look at the top card of your library. If it's a land or a creature card with CMC less than or equal to the number of loyalty counters on her, put it into play. Normally you would see these kind of things on like a minus X ability, but I think having it be a 0 but still be reusable is very strong, especially in formats like EDH. Not sure about standard, but we'll see. And then Liliana, I think honestly is a bit of the weakest of these. 5 mana, 5 loyalty. Takes 3 turns to get to her ultimate, which is destroy all non-zombie creatures. This is very zombie central Liliana. I just don't think
I can tell you her artwork isn't the worst.
Oh, absolutely. I love her artwork. But yeah, I think that Liliana, she might seem pretty good. And the +1 is also good for trying to chalk up Delirium. But I think other than the Delirium-based decks, I don't think she sees much of a home outside of in Standard outside of those decks.
I think for the most part, I'm going to kind of agree with Dezit. I don't think Wizards will ever ban a Planeswalker, but if ever one needed banned, it's probably going to be the Gideon. Lily, she's nice, zombie deck, you know.
I'm assuming you mean banned in Standard.
Yes, yeah. And Lily, you know, like I said, she's nice, a little bit weak. I do agree that Nissa is probably the most intriguing Planeswalker of the set myself. We've never seen a Planeswalker, you know, with a enter cost of X ever. And what it does is unholy amazing. And especially talking modern or even casual, having her be a multicolor like that, you know, for the first time she's come out green-blue, that's, I think, going to change a lot of things as well and allow you to have her and not be afraid to splash in blue for your controls as well.
Well, guys, I'd have to say that we had a pretty good rant going on, a lot of good information being passed around, and thank you for being here on this episode. I think it's episode 103. So we're making our way to 200 slowly but surely every week. Let me mention that we also now have a Facebook. So if you want to friend us on there and follow the channel, you can check out the new link down below for our Facebook group. And there's some added stuff on Facebook that we're trying to do that is pretty exciting. So if you want to get your hands on some more loot, definitely friend us on Facebook or follow us on Facebook. And if you want more information, you can always just contact me through there, and I can set you up with what we're doing. Lastly, let me just mention that we have 20. We've got 20 cute puppy binder spins to do throughout the week, so I'll probably break them up 10 and 10. Really excited to do them. We got some new cards in for replacement cards of the binder, so stay tuned, all you viewers out there. And if you want to get yourself in on the cute puppy binder spins, check out those videos and follow the description on how to get involved with spinning. Yanni, you're still doing a Chroma prize binder, yeah?
Yeah, I should actually be coming up. I've got a couple spins I'm going to end up doing on Tuesday. And I'm also going to be probably having a surprise opening. I've got a fat pack that I want to open on air that I think is going to surprise a lot of people. And out of the packs in there, I'm going to be giving 2 of them away. And these are packs, you know, that go for more than $2 a piece.
Very exciting. All right, guys. For myself, Yanni, and Dezit, everyone's cute little kitty cat, we are out of here on this episode 103, and we will see you a few times this week for those spins. We'll see you Friday for the leaderboard giveaway, and then we'll see you again next weekend for episode 104. So on behalf of all of us, thank you guys, and have a great night.
See you.
Signing off.